The highway stretched out like a death trap, asphalt blurring under my tires as I gunned my bike to 120. Behind me sirens screamed, white cops and cruisers, their lights slashing the night, and bikers, engines roaring like rabid dogs. They thought I was prey, some Navy SEAL gone rogue they could pin a murder on and bury quiet. They were wrong. I'm Ethan Voss, Reaper to my enemies, and I don't run forever. Bullets zipped past, close enough to feel the heat, but I grinned under my helmet. They didn't know it yet, but this chase, it's their funeral. I've got skills they can't dream of, and I'm about to turn their hunt into a nightmare they'll never wake from. Hang on, this ride's just getting started. The night was a blur of speed and sound, my bike screaming beneath me as I pushed it past 120 on the open highway. Wind clawed at my jacket, cold and relentless, but I barely felt it. Focus was everything now. Behind me the world was chaos, sirens wailing, red and blue lights slashing through the dark, and the guttural roar of biker engines closing in. I'd been running for 20 minutes ever since I'd peeled out of that gas station lot, the taste of betrayal still bitter in my mouth. They wanted me dead, or worse, caged. Not happening. It started 3 hours ago. I'd stopped in Red Pine, a nowhere town off Route 66, to refuel and grab a coffee. Bad timing. I'd overheard 2 white cops, Officer Brandt and his twitchy sidekick, Lyle, haggling with a biker in a back booth. Words like shipment and clean drop floated out, sharp enough to cut through the diner's hum. I knew trouble when I smelled it, and this stank of dirty badges. Then I saw the crate in their truck, military-grade rifles, serial numbers scratched off. SEAL instincts kicked in. I snapped a photo, sent it to an old contact at Naval Intel. Big mistake. Brandt caught me mid-text, eyes narrowing like a snake's. "You're in the wrong place, pal," he'd growled, hand on his holster. I didn't wait, bolted for my bike, gunned it as they radioed for backup. Now here I was, Ethan, Reaper, Voss, 32 years a survivor, dodging bullets from cops and a biker crew I didn't even know. The first shot cracked past my ear, close enough to singe. I swerved, asphalt blurring, and checked my mirror. 3 cruisers, 5 bikes, all hungry for blood. They'd pinned a murder on me, some drifter found dead in a ditch an hour back. A story cooked up fast to justify the hunt. Bullshit, I hadn't killed anyone, yet, but they didn't know who they were chasing. 10 years in the SEALs taught me more than how to run. It taught me how to turn the tables, how to make hunters bleed. I leaned into a curve, tires kissing the edge, and spotted a dirt ramp ahead, an exit to the woods. My move. I hit the ramp hard, bike airborne for a heartbeat, before slamming into the brush. Branches snapped, dirt sprayed, and I skidded to a stop behind a thick oak. The sirens Dopplered past, bikers cursing as they overshot. I killed the engine, breath steady, listening. They'd circle back soon. Cops weren't dumb, and those bikers smelled like ex-cons with a grudge. I slid my knife from its sheath, checked my 9mm, full clip, ready. This wasn't flight anymore. This was war, and I'd make them regret waking the Reaper. The woods swallowed me whole, dark, dense, the kind of place where sound gets trapped and twisted. My bike was stashed under a tarp of leaves, engine still ticking as it cooled. I crouched low, knife in one hand, pistol in the other, ears tuned to the chaos I'd left behind. The sirens had faded, but the bikers' engines growled closer, circling back like hounds sniffing a trail. I'd bought myself minutes, not hours. I moved fast, silent, boots sinking into damp earth as I wove through the pines. SEAL training was muscle memory now. Stay low, read the terrain, turn the environment into a weapon. A ridge loomed ahead, steep and rocky, perfect for a vantage point. I climbed, fingers gripping cold stone, and flattened myself at the top. Below, the highway snaked through the night, headlights slashing as the cruisers regrouped. The bikers, 5 of them, leather vests patched with a skull and chains, fanned out into the woods, flashlights bouncing. They were loud, sloppy, amateurs. One broke off, a wiry guy with a shaved head and a shotgun. stomping through the brush 50 yards out. I marked him, first blood. I slid down the ridge's far side, looped around, and came up behind him like a ghost. He didn't hear me till my arm locked around his throat, cutting his air. He thrashed, shotgun swinging wild, but I drove my knife into his side, quick, clean through the ribs. He gurgled, slumped, and I eased him down, stripping the weapon. One down. The other shouted his name, Rusty, flashlight swinging my way. I melted back, shotgun slung over my shoulder, and set the trap. A fallen log, a tangle of vines. I rigged a tripwire with his own bootlace, tied to a branch heavy enough to crack a skull. Then I waited, breath slow, heart steady. 2 bikers stumbled in, cursing Rusty's silence. The wire snapped, the branch swung, and one went down hard, face smashed. The other froze, panicked, big mistake. I stepped out, put a 9mm round through his chest. He dropped, blood pooling black in the moonlight. The cops weren't far now, tires crunched off-road, closing in. I grabbed the dead biker's radio, tuned it to their chatter. Suspect in the woods. Brant's voice crackled. Lyle, flank west. Bikers, tighten the net. I smirked. They thought they had me pinned. I'd use that. The woods were mine now, a killing ground, and they were walking right into it. The air thickened with tension, pine needles crunching under boots as the net tightened. I'd taken out 2 bikers, but the odds were still stacked. 3 left, plus Brant, Lyle, and whatever backup they'd called. I needed to thin them fast, turn their hunt into a rout. The shotgun was heavy in my hands, a crude tool compared to my usual kit, but it'd do. I moved east, against Lyle's flank, setting the stage. A cruiser rolled into view, headlights carving through the trees. Lyle stepped out, wiry frame silhouetted, barking orders into his radio. He's here somewhere, fan out. I crouched behind a stump, watching him wave the remaining bikers forward.
Oh!
They spread wide, too wide. Perfect. I aimed the shotgun, waited till the nearest biker, a beefy guy with a beard, crossed my line, then squeezed. The blast tore through him, a spray of red against the dark, and he crumpled with a scream cut short. Chaos erupted. Lyle ducked behind the cruiser, firing blind.
Bullets chewing bark.
The other 2 bikers charged my way, pistols popping. I rolled, slugs buzzing past, and came up firing. 2 shots, 1 headshot, 1 chest. Both dropped, twitching. Lyle cursed, reloaded, but I was already moving, circling back to the cruiser's blind side. He didn't see me till I was on him. Shotgun butt to his temple, a crack like thunder. He went limp, out cold. I zip-tied his hands, gagged him with his own shirt, and dragged him into the brush. The radio crackled. Brant, pissed. Lyle, report. Where's the bastard? I picked it up, mimicked Lyle's nasal whine. West side. He's running.
A lie to pull them in.
Brant bought it. Tires squealed as his cruiser swung around. Bikers revving to follow. I torched Lyle's car with a flare from his kit. The flames roaring up as I faded back. The woods glowed orange, a beacon of their failure. They'd come for me. I'd make them pay for every step. The fire bought me time. Smoke billowed, choking the air, masking my trail. I doubled back to my bike, heart pounding but steady, and checked my phone. The photo I'd sent Naval Intel had a reply. Red Pine PD, tied to arms trafficking. Our lead suspect, Captain Hollis. Stay sharp, Hollis. Brant's boss, the fat cat running this town, from a cushy office. The pieces clicked. Those rifles weren't a side hustle, they were a pipeline, and I'd stumbled into the deep end. I gunned the bike, weaving through backroads, mind racing. Hollis wouldn't just frame me, he'd bury me, pin every loose end on the rogue seal. The bikers weren't random either, probably muscle for hire, tied to the same racket. I needed proof, a way to flip this. My contact had sent coordinates, an old safe house, 10 miles north, stocked with gear from a SEAL op years back. If I could reach it, I'd have the tools to fight back. Headlights flared behind me. Brant, relentless, his cruiser eating the distance. 2 biker stragglers flanked him, engines screaming. I pushed the bike harder. 130 now, tires howling on curves. A bullet grazed my arm, hot and sharp. I gritted my teeth, swerved and spotted a bridge ahead. Narrow, old, a choke point. I hit the brakes, spun the bike sideways, and dismounted, drawing my 9mm. They'd have to come single file, my kill zone. Brandt's cruiser screeched to a stop, bikers piling up behind. End of the line, Voss, he shouted, stepping out, gun raised. I didn't answer, just fired, clipped his shoulder. He staggered, cursing, as the bikers charged. I dropped one with a double tap, but the other tackled me, a bear of a man stinking of sweat and beer. We hit the ground hard, fists flying. Mine found his jaw, his found my ribs. I rolled, drove my knife up under his chin. He gurgled, went still. Brandt retreated, bleeding, radioing for Hollis. The bridge was mine, but the war was just heating up. I left the bridge a graveyard. 2 bodies, a wrecked bike, Brandt limping away. My arm burned, blood soaking my sleeve, but I rode on, the safe house my lifeline. The coordinates led to a cabin off a dirt track. Rotted wood, windows boarded, a ghost of a place. I pried the door open, dust swirling, and found the stash. Rifles, C4, a comms rig. SEAL heaven. I patched my arm with a medkit, grimacing as the needle bit, then powered up the rig. Static hissed, then a voice. My old CO Decker. Voss, you're in deep shit, he said, dry as ever. I briefed him. Hollis, the rifles, the frame job. He cursed. Hollis was flagged years back. Arms to militias, off books. You've got a tiger by the tail. He promised extraction, but I shook my head, even if he couldn't see. Not running, sir. Finishing this. Decker sighed. Then hit him where it hurts. He's got a depot, west of Red Pine. Old quarry. Blow it, and he's done. I loaded up, rifle slung. C4 packed, a plan forming. Hollis thought he'd cornered me, but I'd turn his empire to ash. The radio crackled again. Brandt's voice, ragged. He's at the bridge. Hollis says, move the shipment, now. They were spooked, scrambling. I grinned, cold. Let them run. I'd catch them, and they'd learn what a SEAL could do. I rode out at midnight. The quarry a dark smudge on the horizon. Headlights flickered. Trucks, guards, the shipment rolling. I'd hit them hard, silent, then loud as hell. Hollis wanted a nightmare. He'd get one. Me, armed to the teeth, coming for his throat. The quarry was a fortress of dust and steel, floodlights glaring, trucks idling, guards pacing with AR-15s. I killed my bike a mile out, crept in through the shadows, T4 heavy in my pack. The shipment was there, crates stacked high, rifles glinting under tarps, Hollis's gold mine. I'd make it his grave. I took the first guard with a garrote, wire-tight silent, his body slumping into the dirt. The second got a knife to the spine, quick and clean. I planted the first charge under a fuel truck, timer set for 10 minutes, then moved deeper. Voices echoed, Brandt barking at a biker crew, his arm in a sling. Hollis wants this out by dawn, he snapped. Too late for that. I rigged 2 more charges, ammo crates, generator, then slipped into a lookout tower. The rifle's scope framed Brandt's head, but I held off. He'd die messy, not cheap. I waited till a truck rolled past, then dropped, landing on its roof. The driver didn't hear me, till my blade punched through the window, slicing his throat. I kicked him out, took the wheel, and floored it toward the gate. Guards shouted, bullets pinging off the cab. I swerved, crashed through the barrier, and leapt as the timers hit 0. The blasts came like thunder, fuel igniting, ammo cooking off, a fireball swallowing the quarry. Brandt dove for cover, screaming as shrapnel flew. I rolled to my feet, rifle up, picking off stragglers. The depot burned, a pyre of Hollis's dreams, and I walked through it, Reaper unleashed. The quarry was a hellscape, flames licking the sky, smoke choking the air. The wreckage of Hollis's operation scattered like broken toys. I stood on the ridge, rifle slung, watching the chaos I'd unleashed. Brant had crawled free, bloodied and raging, shouting into a radio as the last guards fled or burned. The blast had done more than destroy. It had sent a message. I wasn't prey anymore. I was the predator, and they'd feel me coming. I hiked back to my bike, the night alive with distant sirens, reinforcements, too late to save anything. My arm throbbed, the stitches pulling, but I ignored it. Pain was just fuel now. The comms rig at the safe house crackled when I patched in. Decker's voice, sharp. "Voss, you lit up half the county. Hollis is scrambling," words he's holed up at the precinct, calling in favors. I smirked. Let him hide. I'll dig him out. The quarry hit had crippled his supply, but Hollis wasn't done. He'd have cash, muscle, a fallback. I checked the burner phone I'd lifted from a dead biker. Texts, coordinates, a meet set for dawn at a truck stop 30 miles east. Hollis was moving something. Money, maybe, or leverage to rebuild. I'd be there uninvited. I rode out, the highway stretching dark and empty, my mind sharpening the plan. Intercept, interrogate, end it. The truck stop glowed neon against the pre-dawn gray. Diesel pumps, a diner buzzing with late-night truckers. I parked a quarter-mile out, scoped it through binoculars. 2 SUVs rolled in, blacked-out windows, followed by a biker crew, different patches, no skulls, a rival faction. A deal, not a pickup. I crept closer, sticking to the shadows, and caught Brant's voice, hoarse, pissed, haggling with a lean biker in a red vest. "Hollis needs this clean," Brant snapped. 10 mil, untraceable. The biker nodded, handed over a duffel, cash for guns, a new pipeline. I'd crash it before it started. The deal was a lifeline for Hollis, 10 million to buy his way out of the mess I'd made. I wouldn't let it breathe. The SUVs idled, engines rumbling, while Brant and the red vest biker shook hands. I counted 6 hostiles. Brant, 3 cops, 2 bikers, armed and jumpy. Good odds for a seal. I slipped a smoke grenade from my pack, pulled the pin, and lobbed it into the lot. Gray fog bloomed, thick and blinding, screams erupting as they scattered. I moved in fast, silent, knife first, slashing a cop's throat before he could draw. His partner spun, firing wild into the smoke. I dropped low, rolled and put 2 rounds through his chest. Brant coughed, retreating to an SUV, but I was on him, tackled him hard, asphalt biting my knees. He swung, clipped my jaw, but I pinned him, wrenching his arm, till it cracked. "Where's Hollis?" I growled. He spat blood. "Screw you, Voss." The bikers charged, guns blazing. I shoved Brant down, used him as a shield. Bullets thudded into him, his gasps wet and final. I fired back, clipped one in the leg, the other in the shoulder. They fell, groaning, as the last cop bolted for the second SUV. I sprinted, leapt, and smashed the window with my elbow, dragging him out. He begged, name, rank, Hollis's plan spilling like water. "Precinct bunker," he wheezed. "He's got a chopper coming." I knocked him out, left him tied. The duffel was mine now, 10 mil in dirty cash. Hollis's last gasp. I torched the SUVs, rode out as the diner's lights faded behind me. The precinct was 10 miles west, Hollis's castle, locked tight, a chopper his escape hatch. I needed more than guts to breach it, muscle, firepower, a wild card. The rival bikers from the truck stop gave me an idea. Red vests, no love for Hollis's crew. They'd been stiffed before, judging by the bikers' gripes. I tracked them to a bar off Route 66, a dive called the Crow's Nest, all chrome and cigarette haze. I walked in bold, duffel slung, eyes on the lean guy in red. Rico, their leader, scarred lip and a .45 on his hip. The room tensed, hands hovering near weapons. "You're the ghost," Rico said, voice gravelly. "Hollis's problem." I dropped the duffel, cash spilling. 10 mil says I'm your solution. Hollis screwed you. Help me end him. This is yours. He eyed the money, then me. "Why trust you?" I smirked. "Don't trust the payday." Rico laughed, waved his crew over. 8 bikers, rough but sharp, itching for a fight. We hashed it out. They'd hit the precinct's front, draw the heat, while I slipped in for Hollis. He's mine, I said. Rico nodded. Long as he bleeds, I'm good. We rode out at dusk, a convoy of thunder and vengeance. The cash split among them as bait. Hollis thought he'd bought loyalty. I just outbid him with his own blood money. The precinct loomed, a brick fortress lit by floodlights. Rico's crew roared in, guns blazing, tires squealing, chaos on cue. I peeled off, circled to the back, cutting through a fence with bolt cutters. The chopper's whine echoed. Hollis was close to bolting. Not today. The precinct's rear was a maze, loading docks, alleys, guards, scrambling to the front where Rico's bikers tore it up. I moved, like a shadow, silenced, pistol ready, dropping 2 cops with headshots before they blinked. The bunker entrance was a steel door, keypad locked, Hollis's panic room. I pried the panel, hot-wired it with a trick from SEAL demo training, and the lock clicked green. Inside, the air was cold, sterile, monitors flickering with feeds of the carnage outside. Hollis stood by a desk, 50s, paunchy, barking into a radio. "Where's the damn chopper?" He spun as I stepped in, eyes wide, drawing a revolver. I dove as he fired, bullet grazing my shoulder, and tackled him into the desk. Papers flew, his gun skittered. I pinned him, fist crashing into his jaw. "You framed me," I snarled. "Why?" He coughed, grinning through blood. "You saw too much. Had to go." I zip-tied him, dragged him to the monitors. Rico's crew was holding, but cops were closing in. The chopper thudded overhead, landing on the roof. I hauled Hollis up, pistol to his spine. "Call it off, or you're first out that door." He hesitated, then radioed. "Stand down, evac only." The pilot acknowledged, oblivious. I smirked. Good boy. We hit the stairs, Rico's gunfire a symphony below. Hollis was my ticket out and my executioner's blade. The roof was a wind-whipped chaos, chopper blades slicing the night, Rico's bikers pinned at the front, cops swarming. I shoved Hollis toward the bird, his hands bound, my gun at his back. The pilot froze, hands up. "Fly," I ordered, climbing in beside Hollis. He obeyed, lifting off as bullets pinged the hull. Below, Rico waved, peeling out with his crew. The cash theirs, the fight won. In the air, Hollis glared, defiant. "You're dead anyway, my people." I cut him off, jamming the revolver under his chin. "Your people are ash. The quarry, the cash, your name, gone." I'd streamed the precinct feeds to Decker. Feds were inbound. Hollis's Empire DOA. He slumped, broken. I zip-tied him to the seat, took the co-pilot controls, and banked east. We landed in a field, Feds lights flashing miles off. I dragged Hollis out, dumped him with the burner phone. Every call, every deal recorded. "Enjoy prison," I said, mounting my bike. He spat, but the fight was gone. Sirens closed in as I roared off. The highway opening up. Red Pine was done. Hollis, Brandt, the bikers, all dust. I'd been their nightmare, and now I was free. The highway hummed beneath my tires, a steady pulse as I put Red Pine in the rear view. Oh, the Feds had Hollis now, cuffed, humiliated, his empire a smoking ruin. I'd ridden out of that field with the chopper's rotor wash still kicking dust, the weight of the last 48 hours settling into my bones. My shoulder ached, the graze from Hollis's shot a dull burn, but I was alive, free. That was more than I could say for Brandt, Lyle, or the biker crew I'd dismantled piece by piece. I stopped at a gas station 50 miles out, neon flickering over cracked pavement. The clerk didn't look twice as I paid for a coffee, black and bitter, and stepped outside to breathe. The night was quiet now. No sirens, no engines, just crickets and the rustle of wind. My burner buzzed. Decker, checking in. "Hollis is singing," he said, voice gruff with approval. Feds nabbed his contacts, whole networks collapsing. "You're clear, Voss." I nodded to the dark. "Good. What's next?" He chuckled. "Rest, you lunatic. You've earned it." Rest sounded nice, but it wasn't me. Not yet. Hollis was down, but his people nagged at me. He'd hinted at bigger players, shadows pulling strings from penthouses and boardrooms. The rifles I'd seen weren't just for militias, they were military grade, tied to something uglier. I sipped the coffee, let the heat ground me. The fight wasn't over, it had just shifted. I'd burned the street level. Time to climb higher. Rico's crew crossed my mind. Red vests, rough but loyal once the cash flowed. They'd held their end, scattered with 10 mil and a grudge settled. Allies like that were rare. I'd track them later, maybe call in a favor. For now I mounted my bike, the engine's growl a comfort, and rode into the dawn. The road ahead was mine, and whatever waited, I'd meet it head on. Dawn broke bloody red streaks painting the sky. As I hit a diner off Route 70, grease-stained counters, truckers hunched over plates. I spread the burner's data on a corner table. Texts, coordinates, names Hollis's pilot had spilled before I ditched the chopper. One stood out, Victor Drace, a CEO in Denver, tied to a logistics firm shipping those rifles. Hollis was a pawn. Drace was a knight, maybe higher. I'd find out. I patched into Decker again, voice low over the diner's hum. Drace, know him, he cursed. Shady bastard. Ex-Dowd contractor, blacklisted for skimming deals. If he's in this, it's big. Think cartels, private armies. I nodded. Hollis's supplier. Likely, Decker said. Watch your ass. He's got reach. I smirked. So do I. Denver was 300 miles west. Urban sprawl. A different beast from Red Pine's backwoods. I'd need gear, intel, a way in. The safe house stash was tapped out, but Rico's crew might bridge the gap. I rode to the Crow's Nest, the bar still reeking of stale beer. Rico was there, counting cash, scars glinting under dim lights. Back already, he grunted. I slid a chair up. Drace Denver. Hollis's boss. You in. He eyed me, then the money. What's the cut? Half of whatever we take, I said. And revenge. He grinned. Sold. We planned fast. Rico's 8, me, a hit on Drace's warehouse. They'd bring firepower. I'd bring the edge. We rolled out at noon, a convoy cutting through dust and heat. Denver's skyline a jagged promise. Drace thought he was safe, untouchable. I'd prove him wrong. Denver hit like a wall, traffic snarling, towers gleaming, the warehouse district a gritty maze by the river. Drace's spot was a steel fortress, guards, cameras, trucks rolling out crates under floodlights. Rico's crew parked a mile off, bikes hidden, while I scouted on foot. The burner's intel pinned a shipment tonight, rifles, explosives, headed south. I'd blow it sky high, Drace with it. We hit at midnight, Rico's bikers storming the gate, shotguns booming, drawing fire. I slipped the flank, cutting wire, silenced pistol dropping 2 guards at a side door. Inside, the air stank of oil and metal, crates stacked, men shouting. Drace was there, 40s, slick suit, barking orders from a catwalk. I climbed, shadows my shield, and leveled my gun. Game's up, I called. He spun, pulling a Glock fast, but I was faster. My shot grazed his hand. He dropped it, cursing. Rico's crew breached, chaos erupting, bullets flying, crates splintering. I zip-tied Drace, dragged him down as his guards fell. Who's above you? I snarled, pistol to his temple. He laughed, manic. You're dead, SEAL. They'll hunt you forever. I smashed his face into the rail, blood sprayed. Names, he spat one. Moreno Juarez, cartel. The web grew. We rigged the warehouse. Rico's C4, my timers. Guards rallied, but we fought out, me with Drace as a shield. Rico's crew blasting a path. The blast shook the ground, fire swallowing millions in hardware. Drace slumped, broken, as we hit the bikes. Sirens wailed. Too late. Moreno was next. But tonight, Denver burned, and I'd won. Sunrise caught us on the highway. Engines roaring. Denver's smoke a fading smudge. Drace was dumped at a Fed outpost. Tied, gagged, burner data beside him. News would break soon. CEO busted. Cartel links exposed. Rico split the take. 5 mil. Blood money well earned. You're crazy, Voss, he said, clapping my shoulder. Call me when it's Juarez. I nodded. Count on it. I rode solo, wind cutting sharp, mind on Moreno. Juarez was a war zone. Cartel turf. No rules. Hollis and Drace were steps. Moreno was the summit. Decker's voice crackled through. Feds swarming Denver. My slate clean. But my name whispered. You're a ghost again, he said. Stay that way. I smirked. Ghosts kill quiet. The road stretched south. Endless. A ribbon to the next fight. Red Pines cops. Hollis's bikers. Drace suits. They'd chased me. Cornered me. Lost me. I was their nightmare. Forged in seal fire. Sharpened by betrayal. Moreno would learn what Hollis and Drace had. I don't run. I reap. My bike growled. The horizon beckoned. And I chased it. Free. Fierce. Unstoppable.